Today, as I think you all know, is the Alumni Award presentation, and it is my pleasure to introduce, on behalf of the Alumni Association, Susan Barkley, graduate of the school.
I'm told to not start talking, so I'm not talking. This is pretty incredible to be up here. I'm a class of '85, and there were, maybe we didn't have a fire marshal because there were a lot more of us on the stage than just those third formers sitting over there then. But it's changed some. The school has gotten a little smaller since then. Well, I'm very excited to be here once again this year. I've been around for maybe the past 8 years. I've seen a few of you as we've regrown the Alumni Association. And I know some of you are going to be joining it very soon. I just want you to think today, make it. Please make it. Be good. It's worth it if you graduate. I would like to just mention the one thing about it is to look around you today and think, this is the community. And it's something you should really think about. It's going to come back to you and back to you time and time again. And I'm always amazed now when I go out and the connections I made from Choate and how they come back. And today is a perfect example as I share the stage for a moment with a former classmate of mine. Even though we didn't quite stay in touch that well, I could sit with Paul in the cafeteria if I wanted to. In the dining hall on the senior side, we would have a few conversations. Little does he know, I'm very close to one of his old swim mates still, Johnny Lee. And poor Johnny Lee, poor Johnny Lee is still called Johnny Lee in Chicago because of me. Unfortunately, he is Dr. Q Jung Lee now, but he'll still be Johnny Lee, and that's what community and Choate is all about. So I just want you to think about that as you're preparing today and thinking about yourself entering the Alumni Association and what it'll mean for you going forward. Don't forget about Choate. You'll have lots of things going on going forward, your college, other organizations, but this is a strong group of people you've hung out with for many years, and it'll come back for you for a long time. Knowing Monica, I have a few formal announcements I have to make. We have 2 upcoming events that we're going to host. These are becoming annual events. I hope you're excited about them. On Thursday, April 11th, we have the Sixth Form Transition Dinner in Hill House. Yeah, very cool. I bet you're all expecting that cool gift now that we've made a tradition. So you'll be getting your, I don't want to say because I hope you're getting them. But it will be fantastic food still. Yes, all right, you're getting them. The vests are coming again. Yay! I wear mine proudly at Choate. Actually, I told Monica, is this not a Choate outfit? I didn't even think of this. I'm in blue and gold today. I am photo ready. And then we're actually adding a new event this year, the Fifth Form Half Moon Pizza Party at Ritz Reese. Yeah. And we are going to pass the baton to the Fifth Formers. So that's great, and you guys are going to have a great time. So we would like to, with that, I am going to introduce your illustrious headmaster, Alex Curtis. Or should I, is it Dr. Alex Curtis? Headmaster Alex Curtis? I don't know. It was someone else when I was here.
Thank you. Okay, to my class, who I ran out of last period, and I said that we have a speaker. It's Paul Giamatti's here, and I got to go see him and welcome him to campus. And they said, he's here on campus, right? Yeah, I'm not a liar. Could you trust me? You know. It's a historic moment. I'm going to wear my glasses, all right? It's the first time in public. A little support is appreciated. This is really hard. No, what an honor, what a moment. And I'm thrilled that we are able to welcome a very eminent member of our alumni body Today it's my privilege to introduce our 2013 Choate Rosemary Hall Alumni Award winner, Paul Giamatti, class of '85. He's Oscar-nominated, Emmy and Golden Globe award-winning actor. But before he began garnering accolades on the world stage, Paul was a 4-year day student at Choate Rosemary Hall. And this is going to be an easy speech today. I'm just going off. And like some of you, spent his formative years at the Foot School in New Haven. At Choate, Paul's extracurricular activities included day student counselor, member of the swim team. It's going to take me ages to get through this. This is all good. So member of the swim team, member of the science and astronomy clubs, an engineer for the... Are you sitting down? Is the academic record incomplete? Resume padding. Is this, well, according to our records, then, what Paul wrote at some point, an engineer for the school's radio station, WWEB. Yes? Okay, good. Managing editor of the Choate News, as well as a stint as graphics editor of the news when paced-up mechanicals and hand skills were still required. In his junior year, Paul discovered theatre. In a production of Children of a Lesser God, he was cast as the character of Oren, a hearing-impaired student who tries to lead a rebellion against the hearing world. Paul got into character by learning how to sign and how to speak with an impediment. For a senior project, he and a fellow student put on a production of Greater Tuna, in which 2 characters play the entire cast of more than 20 eccentric characters of both genders and various ages. Said his project advisor, Mr. Bob Mellon, Paul is one of the most talented actors I've ever seen on the stage. All of the different characters to prepare, the voices, diction, costume changes, everything contributed to a very demanding role for an actor. Paul met the challenge with style and grace. He might have caught the theatre bug on the PMAC stage, and his teachers may have caught a hint of things to come, but he wasn't entirely convinced that the theatre was still his path, was going to be his path. He still thought, in his own words, quote, acting was a stupid thing for a grown-up person to do. The most influential grown-ups in his life were his mother, Toni Smith Giamatti, a former actress who became an English teacher at Hopkins School, and his father, A. Bartlett Giamatti, a Renaissance scholar, president of Yale, and later Major League Baseball commissioner. At Paul's Choate commencement, his father gave the remarks to the entire class, but may have hoped that these words would resonate with Paul in years to come. As you now look out, as he said, you look forward to college. As you look forward to college, there will, of course, rise within each of you anticipation and normal anxiety. Such emotions will be natural and healthy. What I wish you to avoid is the compulsion to try to arrange all the future now. I want you to hold yourselves ready but not rigid. I urge you to keep an open mind. Boy, never truer word spoken. And indeed, Paul followed his father's career advice by keeping an open mind and holding himself ready but not rigid. He went on to earn an English degree from Yale, then a Master of Fine Arts degree from Yale School of Drama. He performed in numerous theatrical productions, including Broadway, and a stint with Seattle's Annex Theatre before appearing in small television and film roles in the early 1990s. The New York Times Magazine has said of our honoree, in an age of stars and would-be stars, Giamatti is a rarity, a true character actor who can play drama, comedy, or romance. His tremendous flexibility as an actor, his costume and roles as divergent as the idiosyncratic cartoonist Harvey Piker in American Splendor, a besotted novelist in his breakout role in Sideways, a boxing impresario in Cinderella Man, which won him an Oscar nomination, and John Adams in HBO's television miniseries, which brought him an Emmy Award. And now, as many of you know and have seen, he is playing the starring role in Yale Repertory Theatre's production of Shakespeare's Hamlet. Hamlet, indeed, is a role that only the most seasoned actors have attempted. Sir Laurence Olivier and Sir John Gielgud spring to mind. But we can count on him to be a revelation in the part and to create a unique and compelling character. Because like his character, he knows that, quote, the readiness is all. Paul, we are in awe of your many accomplishments, and I can only reiterate what your advisor Ed Maddox said some 28 years ago, who's in the audience today. Quote, the fact that he enjoys the life of the mind that he loves learning for his own sake, establishes Paul as a leader among his peers. For your dedication to the life of the mind and learning for its own sake, and for being a leader among your peers in the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, we are so proud today to present the 2013 Choate Rosemary Hall Alumni Award to Paul Edward Valentine Giamatti, class of 1985.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I can only say that if you had ever told me while I was here that I would get the Alumni Award, I would have said you were out of your frickin' minds. And so it's very gratifying to receive this. And thank you, Dr. Curtis, and thank you, all of you. I also want to point out, I put on a suit and tie for you people, which is very rare. But in fact, it's the costume I wear in the play, because I don't have a suit and tie. So I just want you all to know I really prepped for this. But this is very, very gratifying. And I guess I just wanted to say that I accept it in honor of all of the wonderful friends that I had here, one of whom is here. I had one friend, at least, and he's here. And also, I really want to dedicate it to the teachers that I had here, who were not only wonderful intellects and taught me things I still have never forgotten, taught me how to read and write and think in a way that, I could barely do that when I got here. And but they were very loving, kind people who saw something in me that I didn't see. And still I'm amazed that they saw these things in me and encouraged me. So I just want to say thanks to them and to this place for doing a lot of great things for me in my life. Anyway, I happen to be an actor who's not comfortable talking in his own character a lot, so I think I'm going to be informally interrogated by these guys here. And they're going to ask me some questions, and I guess you guys are going to ask me some questions too, if you'd like. And so I think that's what we're going to do now, yeah? Is that cool? All right. Thank you very much. All right. Right on, go ahead.
So, I'm Will,
I'm James Gong, class
Hey,
of
how are you? How are you?
and we're the co-presidents of the Choate Filmmaking Society,
Very
and
good.
we've prepared some questions today.
All right.
To start off, I'd like to say that when we were preparing for this, we were going through some old Choate records and some things, and one of the things I found that was very interesting was that in your sophomore year of Choate, you had Mr. Lowry as your English teacher.
Yeah.
And for the first 5 weeks of the fall term, I think.
Yeah.
And I thought that was funny because he's still here and teaching.
Great.
And he's actually my English teacher right now.
Excellent.
So I was able to ask him a few questions, and so I thought that was interesting. And we want to start off with asking you about your Choate experience.
Does Mr. Lowry still stab the book with the knife? Does he bring a knife to class?
Yeah, he brings a knife to class. Yeah.
Should I not say that? Will I get him in trouble for talking about that? Is he now going to get a citation from the school for carrying a knife into the classroom? Because we used to read Macbeth and he would stab the book with a knife.
Yeah, he still does that.
Oh, awesome.
Another interesting thing I noticed was that you played a dead body while at Choate.
Yes. Yes, I played a dead body. Yeah. Yeah, we did a Tom Stopper play called The Real Inspector Hound. And there's a dead body on stage the whole time. And I think every performance I had a different person play the dead body. So they asked me to do it and I said, sure. But it's like an hour and a half, that play or something. So I wasn't really thinking of the fact that they're gonna kick me and stand on me and stuff like that. And half of my body fell asleep while I was doing it. And I couldn't feel the floor, and I started flipping out in the middle of it. I couldn't feel the floor, and I was like, I'm falling, something's happening to me. I can't fall, oh my God, I'm gonna die, I'm having a heart attack. Anyway, it was an auspicious debut.
Who's your role model at Choate?
For the dead body, or for just... My role model at Choate was Ed Maddox, sitting right out there. That would be my role model, right there. I have to say that because he's here. I had to say that because he's here. Yeah, no, but he was, he was a very important figure in my life. So, yeah.
So when did you discover your passion for acting?
Well, I guess it was here. I mean, I did the play, The Children of a Lesser God, that Dr. Curtis mentioned. And I think I did something before that. A student was doing a play, a weird play. And I didn't know I wanted to be in plays. I don't even know why I auditioned for it. I think I had nothing else to do. I don't know. So I went in and auditioned for this thing and got in that. It was a John Steinbeck play. It was weird. And that was, I mean, I can't even articulate what that was for me doing that. It changed my life. But that was, it was called Burning Bright. And we did it in the basement of the chapel, I think, right? Yeah, and I'm asking you people like you would know. But yeah, we did it in the basement of the chapel, yeah.
What was the first film you auditioned for?
The first film I auditioned for, I lived in Seattle after I got out of college, and I auditioned for a movie called Past Midnight, Round Midnight, After Midnight, something like that. And I've never seen it. And it was a schlocky slasher movie. And I got the part, but I played a profoundly mentally challenged guy in it. I played a stable hand. And I actually beat out an actual guy who was profoundly mentally challenged for the part. So I took the part and I took money away from that guy, and I got the part, and I worked for a day on that movie. So actually, I was very proud. The first thing I auditioned for, I got, but it was a pretty schlocky movie. Yeah.
So one of the things that we noticed is that you've played a variety of roles, all the way from man in sleeping bag to John Adams in Cinderella Man too, and we're wondering how do you like playing the different roles, like and do you think that the smaller roles are just as important to you as the bigger roles, or?
Man in Sleeping Bag was a very important role for me. I remember Man in Sleeping Bag vividly doing that for some cop show. No, I mean, actually, Man in Sleeping Bag, those things are harder to do in some ways. You know, Man in Sleeping Bag, you only have 3 lines, and you sit around all day in the sleeping bag, and and it's boring, and it's very hard to do. And then all of a sudden, you have to be freaking out and being, you have to get all worked up on a dime like that. Those are actually harder things to do. Then the bigger roles, you get to relax into them, and take your time with them, sort of feel your way into them. But Man in Sleeping Bag, you only have that's it. If you don't get Man in Sleeping Bag that day, that's it for Man in Sleeping Bag. You don't want to screw up Man in Sleeping Bag. So I really do remember that actually really well. But I love playing all different kinds of things. It doesn't matter to me. But those are harder, the smaller parts. They're harder to work at.
What's been the favorite part that you've played?
Well, the play I'm doing right now is probably one of my favorite things I've done. I mean, Hamlet's a pretty great part, and I really enjoyed it. In movies, I did a movie called The Illusionist, which I don't know if you guys have ever seen, but it's a nice movie. And I got to play a German police inspector, and I got to have a cool hat and black gloves and stuff like that, and a pipe and everything. And so I got to play a detective, which was great. So that's probably my favorite movie role I've done.
Hey, one of the other theater students here, Marcus Sudak, asked me to ask you, how was it moving from the stage to the screen? What was the biggest difference, and what did you have to go through to move to there?
It's completely different, and it was when I played the mentally challenged stable hand in that movie. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. And I remember them, we set it up and sort of shot it, and I didn't know where the cameras were. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And then they come in for the close-ups, and the camera was right here. And I just was like, you gotta be kidding me, get that thing. I just was like, you could take that back a good 25 feet. It was like, don't get that thing so close to me. And it also cut off the other actor from me. All of a sudden, the other actor was standing behind the camera. And so the biggest transition, the biggest change, and the thing I missed from theater was actually having the person with me in the same space. You know, it wasn't all about me trapped by a little box filming me. You know, there's all this space between people. You can touch people and you can really be with people. And that was very difficult for me, and I still am getting used to it on film. But it's completely different. You know, for the most part, you only act with your head, not your whole body. I miss that too. You know.
Also, when after a movie's done and they show it to you for the first time, what is it like seeing yourself on the screen?
It's disturbing every time. It's really disturbing, and I'm always shocked at how little hair I actually have. Every time I'm shocked afresh by how little hair I actually have, and I've gotten used to it now, and I'm much better at being able to watch it. And sometimes I actually enjoy it. If I can forget that I'm watching myself, then I know the movie is good. You know, if I just get caught up in the story again, then I'm like, oh, that was a good movie, because I wasn't criticizing myself like crazy. But it's disturbing. The first couple of times I saw it, I couldn't believe that that strange person up there was me. It was very, very disturbing. Right on, go ahead, man.
So on the stage, what do you do if you forget a line, as we do now?
Well, it depends. Doing Hamlet, there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do if you forget your line, because you can't really make anything up, that's for sure. You're really screwed if you drop your line during Hamlet. But most of the time, I mean, you know, film, it's fine, it's easy, you can shoot it again. I don't know, you just hope the other person is more on top of it than you and will cover for you, basically. Or you make something up, or I actually have gotten to the point in my life where I enjoy screwing things up now, actually. I mean, or screwing other people up on stage, too. It's sick, kind of weird. I kind of enjoy it if something goes completely south now. The other night in Hamlet, the guy playing the first player, his beard started falling off. And it's like the greatest moment I've ever on stage in my life. I just was like, holy crap, what's he gonna do? And I just was like watching this dude struggle with it, and I just was like, this is awesome. I came alive for the first time on stage the whole night. I was like, oh, awesome. His beard's gonna fall off. So I like things like that now. Actually, it gives me a big charge when something goes wrong now. It wakes you up now, so, you know.
Is there anything you remember when you're doing a production or you're on a film? Is there anything that you remember specifically from when you were at Choate that you use when you're on stage, or any advice your teachers gave you?
Oh, wow. Well, certainly the productions, the Children of a Lesser God that Dr. Curtis was mentioning, and the Greater Tuna that we did, the seriousness with which stuff was done here, those two plays, the discipline with which it was done, I've never actually experienced that again. I mean, we took them so goddamn seriously, it was unbelievable. And I mean, it was fully done. People were dead goddamn serious about it. And we worked really hard on them. So I mean, just simply the discipline of it was amazing. I mean, I've really rarely encountered that again, especially in film, which is really not a very disciplined medium. And it was incredible, the seriousness with which it was done, and the way they worked us, and how hard everybody worked at it. It was amazing. I mean, we really did learn how to do sign language. On a movie, you would learn how to do it just for that scene. I mean, nobody would care. I mean, nobody would care. It was incredibly serious. So just simply that discipline and seriousness about it from here has always lasted me.
How did you mentally prepare yourself to play these characters?
How do I mentally prepare myself? Geez, that's a really good question. That's a lifelong thing to figure out the mental game of acting. You know, the biggest thing is trying to just relax. You know, mentally, it just depends. I mean, every time it's a different challenge psychically. You know, I mean, this thing I'm doing now, I'm terrified every time I have to do it. I don't want to do it. And I really don't. I sit off stage just going, I don't want to do this. And there's famous stories of guys leaving in the middle middle of a line from Hamlet, just walking off stage. Because I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. So, and then I know, though, that if I step out there, it'll just sweep me along and I'll be okay. Because it's a lot stronger. The play is stronger than I'll ever be, and the dialogue is stronger than I'll ever be. The words have more energy than I'll ever have. So I just relax. I've learned how to trust that kind of thing a lot more. That the other actors are better than me, and the piece is stronger than me, so it can just carry me along. But different parts require different kinds of preparation. You know, I never know what I'm going to need to do. But nervousness is a thing that you struggle with all the time.
If you had any advice to give any students who specifically are into theater or filmmaking, and they're looking to pursue a career in it, what would that be?
Jeez, I'm so the last guy to give anybody advice about anything. You know, not to sound facetious, but I would advise that you immediately ignore anybody's advice. Immediately discard anything anybody tells you about how to do it. And, you know, the quotation that Dr. Curtis put out there applies to acting and the acting profession in a big way, is to embrace being not prepared for it. You know, being prepared to embrace how risky and messy it is, and not expect it to fall into clean lines, and not try to make it fall into clean lines, because it's a very messy profession, and you just have to be ready to go with what a crazy crap storm it is. You know, I mean, it's nutty, and you just have to go with it and enjoy that about it, which is scary. You know, it's not very good advice or very encouraging or very, very pleasant, but it's true to some extent, I think. I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that it? Is that it? Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
I think we have time for one more question, if you're okay with that?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, one more question.
Sure. You guys?
Okay.
You got one more?
So when you were first starting out the film, was there anything that really took you by surprise when you first got on, or when they were approaching you for a part, or you were looking for one?
Well, like I say, all that stuff with the camera being jammed up my nose was surprising and stuff like that. I was surprised. I remember, it sounds weird, but again, in that first movie I did, I was surprised when I had to play a stable boy, and there was actually a horse there, and they showed me how to brush it, and they showed me how to do everything. And I suddenly thought, but if this was a play, there wouldn't be a real horse here, and I suddenly know what the hell to do with a real horse. I was like, this is boring. This is weird. What do I have to do? I don't have to do anything anymore. I don't have to use my imagination. It's a weird thing to say, but it was the most surprising thing about film to me, was to realize that it's very literal. It's an incredibly literal medium. It's literally, all this stuff is literally going to be given to you, and you're going to literally, you know, drive the car and do, I mean, it's just bizarre. And I still haven't gotten used to it, because I don't use my imagination in the same way. I'd rather be somewhere where I have to use my imagination. I don't know, does that make any sense? Did I answer your question at all?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.